Have you ever ended a workday feeling tired but not really any closer to your dreams? You've answered every email, replied to every message, attended every meeting, done everything on your list. Yet when you sit down at night, you realize you still haven't completed the one thing that truly matters. I used to be like that. For years, I thought the secret to success was to do more than everyone else. I worked all day, wrote down dozens of goals, tried hundreds of ideas. But the more I did, the less progress I seemed to make. I was like someone running on a treadmill, sweating heart pounding, but staying in the same place. One day my mentor asked me, Jim, if today you could only do one thing, what would make everything else easier? That question cut through the fog in my mind like a beam of light. I realized I was living the life of a busy person, not an effective one. I was spreading my energy across too many things instead of focusing it on the one that truly mattered. From that moment on, I started to change. Every morning I wrote down my one thing, just one task, but one worthy of my time and energy. And I discovered something magical. Once you complete your one thing each day, you don't need to do 100 other things to feel like you're moving forward. You start to feel lighter, clearer, and more accomplished. Because success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right thing every day. In today's video, I'll share with you 5 principles to help you find and protect your one thing each day. So no matter how many goals you have, you'll always know your true focus. And stay until the end, because the final principle is the key that will help you win the entire day with just one decision. Principle 1, one thing, one focus, one direction. When I was young, I used to think success came from doing as much as possible. I jumped into dozens of projects, tried many different fields, attended every meeting, read every book I could. I thought the busier I was, the closer I'd get to success. But one day I realized I wasn't moving forward, I was just running in circles. I remember sitting with my first mentor. He didn't say much, he simply pulled out a blank sheet of paper. He placed 2 pens on the table, one black, one red. Then he said, Jim, try writing your name with both pens at once. I laughed. That's impossible, he replied gently. Exactly. Just like life, you can't go in 2 directions at once and expect to get there faster. Those words woke me up. I realized my problem wasn't lack of effort, it was scattered effort. I was like sunlight shining everywhere, but never strong enough to burn anything. Then I learned about the concept of a laser. A laser isn't more powerful than ordinary light. It's simply more focused, millions of light waves aligned and aimed at one single point, and that concentration creates the power to cut through steel. Life works the same way. When you scatter your energy across 10 things, you only have 10% power for each. But when you pour all of it into one, you create the power of a laser cutting through laziness, doubt, and your own limits. I once asked a student of mine, why haven't you achieved what you want? He said, because I haven't found the right time. I told him, it's not about timing, it's about focus. When you choose the right thing, to give all your energy to the right time will come by itself. You see, today's world celebrates multitasking. People proudly say, I can do 3 things at once. But you know what? The truly exceptional people, they choose one thing to master, and from that, every other door opens. Steve Jobs once said, focus is not about saying yes to what you want to do, it's about saying no to the hundreds of other things. That's what I've learned on my own journey. You don't have to do a lot to be remembered. You just have to do one thing so well that no one can ignore you. Another student once told me, teacher, I'm afraid that if I pick only one thing, I'll miss out on other opportunities. I smiled and replied, no, you're not missing opportunities. You're choosing the best one and giving it your full power. A single focus doesn't limit you. On the contrary, it frees you from confusion and chaos. When you find your one thing, you no longer wander among endless choices. You become sharper, more intentional, and every step you take has meaning. Because in the world of the successful, clarity always beats busyness. And I want you to ask yourself this. If I could only choose one thing to give 100% of my energy to today, what would it be? Pause and think. Because the answer to that question might just be the key to unlocking your entire life. But to know what your one thing truly is, you must first learn to distinguish between being busy and being effective. And that's what I want to share with you next. Principle 2, the difference between busy and effective. I once met a young man who was very hardworking. Every morning he woke up at 5 a.m. and worked until midnight. His schedule was packed with no empty space. When I asked, how do you feel about your work? He replied, teacher, I'm so busy, I barely have time to breathe, but I'm not sure I'm moving forward. I smiled, because that's the trap most people fall into. They are busy, but not effective. They move constantly, but not really forward. You know, there's an image I love to use to describe this: a hamster in a spinning wheel. It runs nonstop thinking it's getting far, but in reality, it stays in the same place. And the scariest thing is, people today are living exactly like that. They work all day constantly replying to notifications, emails, messages, and calls. They jump from task to task, but in the end, they complete nothing truly meaningful. I call that the illusion of progress. You feel like you're moving forward just because you're in motion, but movement doesn't mean progress. Running more doesn't mean reaching the destination. I once had a student named David. He worked at a big company, energetic, smart, and ambitious. Every time we met, he said, "Teacher, I did so many things this week." I asked, "So what's your biggest goal?" He went silent, because in the storm of busyness, he had forgotten why he started. I told him, "David, don't measure your value by how much you do measure it by the value you create." Busy people count the number of tasks. Effective people count the tasks that actually create results. A student can study 12 hours a day, but if he doesn't study the right things, he's only collecting fatigue, not knowledge. An entrepreneur can sign dozens of contracts, but if none of them bring lasting profit, he's only chasing the illusion of success. And true leaders, they don't try to do more, they try to do less, but make it matter more. It's like tending a garden. You can hurriedly plant hundreds of seeds, but if you don't water the right ones, the whole garden will grow weeds. The wise person chooses a few precious seeds and nurtures them every day. I want you to ask yourself, am I busy or am I actually getting closer to what I truly want? Sometimes what you need isn't to do one more thing, but to stop for a moment and think, is what I'm doing really leading me in the right direction? Remember, busyness is a feeling. Effectiveness is a result. A busy person says, "I don't have time." An effective person says, "I choose what's most worthy of my time." Today's world doesn't reward those who do the most. It rewards those who do the right things. And if you truly want to escape the cycle of busyness, you must learn to ask one golden question every morning, the same question that completely turned my life around. And that question is simple, yet incredibly powerful. It can help you distinguish what's truly important from what only seems important. That's the next principle, the golden question, that helps you find your true one thing. Principle 3. The golden question: if today I could only do one thing, what would make everything else easier? Years ago, I had a morning that changed the direction of my life. I was sitting in a small room staring at a long to-do list: calls, meetings, plans, reports, nearly 20 tasks. And I felt completely overwhelmed. I asked myself, "Jim, if you can't do it all today, then at least what's the most important thing?" A simple question, but when I repeated it slowly, I realized most of what I did every day wasn't truly important. Those tasks kept me busy, made me feel like I was making progress, but none of them brought me closer to my biggest dream. From that day forward, I began practicing this golden question every morning. If today I could only do one thing, what would make everything else easier or even unnecessary? And I discovered something remarkable. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, but choosing right. Think about this. When you focus on one thing that truly matters, everything else automatically becomes lighter, simpler, clearer. It's like untangling a knot, find the right spot, and the whole rope loosens. I once had a student named Michael. He was a young entrepreneur, energetic, always working nonstop. One day he came to me and said, "Teacher, I'm doing 10 things at once, but none of them are really breaking through." I asked, of those 10 things, which one, if you did it really well, would make the other 9 easier? He was silent for a long time, then said, "Probably building a stronger team." I said, "Then stop everything else. For the next 30 days, pour all your energy into one thing, building your team." 3 months later, he came back. The result was incredible. His business had doubled because once his team became stronger, every process, campaign, and decision became easier. One right move changed everything. This golden question seems simple, but it forces you to face the hardest truth. Letting go of what seems important to focus on what truly makes a difference. Why can't most people do this? Because they're afraid of missing out. They think that if they focus on just one thing, they'll lose other opportunities. But you know what? The truth is, when you don't choose one thing, you've already lost everything. Successful people aren't the ones who do more than you. They're the ones who answer this golden question better than you. I want you to pause for a few seconds and honestly ask yourself, if I could only complete one thing today, what would make everything else easier? Write it down. Don't overthink it. Because your intuition, your deepest inner wisdom always knows what your true one thing is for today. And once you know it, do it first. No delay, no distraction, no waiting for inspiration. That's how you lead your day in the right direction. If you feel this message truly resonates with you, Hit subscribe and continue this journey with me where we'll uncover the principles that help you go further every single day. And once you've found your one thing, the next step is learning how to commit and act every morning to turn awareness into results. That's what I'll share with you next. Wonderful. Here's the next part. Principle 4. 3 steps every morning clarify. Comment. Aktai once said, "Success doesn't come from motivation. It comes from structure." You can wake up one day full of inspiration, but without structure. That spark fades like smoke in the wind. But if you have a system, a clear morning ritual, you don't need to wait for motivation. You just follow the process and results come naturally. I learned this during my early years as an entrepreneur. Every morning I sat at my desk with dozens of options reading, calling, planning, meeting clients. And many times I spent nearly an hour just deciding what to do first. Until one day I realized I didn't need more choices, I needed a habit. From that point I began practicing 3 simple steps that completely changed how I lived each day. Step 1, clarify. Choose what matters most before the world starts pulling you in every direction. You must choose your own. Ask the golden question. If I could only do one thing today, what would make everything else easier? Then write it down. Not in your head, not on your phone, on real paper. Because when you write, you're not just recording a goal, you're making a commitment to yourself. Remember, if you don't define what matters most, someone else will, your boss, your colleagues, your clients, or social media. And you'll end the day not knowing who you truly live for. Step 2, comment. Block time for your one thing. Many people know what matters most, but they don't protect it. They let the phone ring, emails come and messages interrupt, and their one thing gets forgotten. I have a simple rule. If something truly matters, schedule it first like an unbreakable appointment. I call it golden time. Every morning I dedicate the first 2 hours solely to my most important work. No meetings, no scrolling, no replies. That's the sacred zone of focus. Just like a farmer protects his best soil for his finest seeds, you must protect your best hours for your one thing. Because if you don't lock it in, the world will steal it from you. Step 3, ACT, start before you're ready. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they wait for motivation to start. But guess what? Motivation doesn't come first. Action creates motivation. I once mentored a young entrepreneur. He said, "Teacher, I'm waiting until I feel ready and motivated to start." I replied, "You'll wait forever." Motivation isn't the wind that blows in, it's the fire you ignite the moment you begin. Each morning, start before you feel ready. Write the first sentence. Make the first call. Do the first set. Don't let your mind negotiate with fear, because once you start, momentum builds and energy follows. When you practice these 3 steps each morning, clarify, commit, act, you're reprogramming your brain to live with intention. You're no longer dragged by randomness. You're steering your own day. And when you can control one day, you can control your whole life. Ask yourself tomorrow morning, what's the first thing I'll do to honor my one thing? But no matter how well you define and commit, there will always be invisible enemies waiting to steal your one thing, distractions, noise, and chaos. And to defeat them, you must learn to protect your golden hours. That's the next principle and the foundation of it all. Principle 5, protect the golden time for your one thing. I once told my students, time is never enough for everything, but it's always enough for what matters most. We all have 24 hours a day exactly the same. Yet some people use it to build an entire future, while others use it to put out small fires. The difference lies in one thing who knows how to protect their golden time. I call golden time the 2-3 hours each day when your energy, willpower, and focus are at their peak. That's when your mind is clear, your heart is calm, and your inner strength is ready for greatness. But here's the problem. The world around you doesn't want you to focus. The phone rings, emails arrive, notifications keep popping up. Everyone wants you to respond immediately. And before you realize it, your golden time has been stolen by things that are small, trivial, but extremely loud. I once had a student named Sarah, a talented and hardworking young woman, but she always complained that she couldn't complete her one thing each day. When I asked why, she said, "I always start the morning intending to do the most important thing, but then an urgent email comes, a message from my boss, questions from coworkers, and by the time I finish their tasks, my energy is gone." I said, "Sarah, you're not short on time. You just don't protect it seriously enough." I taught her a small lesson. Treat your golden time like an appointment with your own future. If others can reschedule, let them wait. But if you miss the appointment with yourself, you may wait a lifetime for that chance again. Remember, the world will never go quiet so you can focus. You have to create that silence. When I write books, I always start at 5 a.m. No calls, No emails, no messages, just me, the blank page, and my thoughts. I lock the door, silence my phone, and treat that time as a sanctuary of focus. In those few hours, I'm not just writing, I'm rebuilding myself. And you can do the same. Choose a time slot each day that you won't let anyone invade. Say no to what's urgent but not important. Because if you don't learn to say no, you'll never be able to say yes to greatness. A CEO I once coached transformed completely with just this habit. He called the 8:10 a.m. window his inviolable zone. No meetings, no emails, no messages, only one most important task. 3 months later, his productivity had doubled, and more importantly, he regained peace of mind. Think about this. If you dare to protect just 2 golden hours a day in 1 year, you'll have more than 700 hours of deep focus for what matters most. 700 hours to write, to create, to build, to learn, to change your life. You don't need a miracle, you just need the discipline of protection. Time is the only asset you can't buy more of, but you can invest it more wisely than anyone else. Ask yourself today, am I protecting my golden time as if it were my most precious asset? If the answer is not yet, start tomorrow morning. Choose a time slot, lock it down, and commit that during that time, only you and your one thing exist. Because in the end, your life won't change because of hundreds of small tasks, but because of one right thing you do every single day. Let's wrap up this journey so you truly understand the power of one thing. When I look back on my journey, from a confused, failed young man to someone who inspires millions, I realized there was no magic, no secret hack, no shortcut. There was only one thing I did differently. I learned to choose one most important task each day and stick to it. Every morning, I ask myself the familiar question, if today I could only do one thing, what would make everything else easier? And then I write it down, I block the time I act. Not because I'm always motivated, but because I know it deserves my time. You know, most people lose their power, not because they're weak, but because they scatter it. They're like someone watering a vast field with a small can, a little here, a little there, but nowhere deep enough to bloom. Successful people are different. They choose a single seed and water it every day until it becomes a great tree that shades their entire life. Remember, success never arrives in a single day, but it always comes from days that are lived the right way. Each day, you complete your one thing. You're teaching yourself, what I do today matters. And gradually that meaning accumulates into inner strength, turning you into the person you've always wanted to become. Maybe you feel too busy, too late, or too tired to start over. But let me say this, you don't need to change your whole life today. You only need to choose one right thing to begin. Write down your one thing. Dedicate 2 golden hours to it every day. And do it for 90 consecutive days. I promise you, you won't be the same person anymore. The world out there is noisy, but in the silence of focus, all great things are born. And when you learn to focus on your one thing, you'll realize success was never far away. It was just hidden behind too many unnecessary things. I often say, don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. And don't wish for more time, just do more with the time you have. That is the spirit of one thing. Don't demand a simpler life, become more focused, clearer, and more steadfast. A question for you. If tomorrow you were allowed to complete only one task, what would it be? Share it in the comments, because your one thing today might inspire someone else to start their journey. If these lessons truly resonate with you, hit like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can learn how to live a truly fulfilling day and turn each ordinary day into an extraordinary step forward. And don't forget, you and I both have a gift today. Use it wisely. I'll see you in the next video.